Well, I'll start it.
Yeah, you started since you started it.
Well, that's a great place to start, I think, is
Lots of starting.
so given that we're talking about the Bowhead Era everyday manual wheelchair, we've shown it on Instagram lots, and we've talked about it a bunch, and there are some YouTube videos, but there's a lot going on with it. And one thing that we hear a lot on Instagram is their history in using a chair, or things they've seen, or things they've used, types of chairs, this, that, the other. To give a bit of our history would be good so that people know who we are and what we're talking about.
Yeah. 100%.
So I'll go first.
Start it off since you were in a chair first.
Yeah, I broke my back in 1996, which is 29 years ago now.
4 years after I was born, just for the record.
That's crazy. You will hear angle grinding periodically, but that's just a normal sound here. So I broke my back in 1996, and then I'm really tall, I'm 6'4", and back then chairs weren't made for height, like they were essentially all the same height, and so my knees were up around my ears. I was doing my machining apprenticeship at the time, and so I had the ability to make stuff. So I made my first chair 1 year after I was injured. Not my first chair, like I got a chair, I wasn't happy with it, and then I made one. And since then, I've made chairs. So although this is Bowhead's first chair, it's not my first chair. It's interesting because a lot of the stuff we do, I have a lot of opinions about it because I've tried a lot of stuff. So I've also only used a chair my way. So it's through my career, I guess, it's interesting because I've learned a lot of what other people want, but Bowhead was really the big jump where we built a lot of relationships with other people in chairs, like deeper relationships, and really got to learn what people wanted. It's been very interesting to learn in a deeper level what other people's experiences have been.
Totally. Which can be so different, right? Like you live such an active lifestyle, but in a different way than some people do too, right? Yeah, it's I think that's probably the biggest like learning experience that we could take over from bikes is chairs are so different. Everybody's got a different way of doing things, whether it be transferring or seating or just how they use it in general. So it's kind of like trying to cater towards such a range of users.
And it seems like it's so deeply ingrained in people because like everybody, whether you're in a chair or not, has like a fear of change is like a thing. And then chairs have been so similar for so long. And to me, like having done them before and being sort of turned off on them because of experiences, it was really the bikes that gave the confidence that A, we had the right team to do it, and B, that the bikes were really unique when they came out.
For sure.
And it took a lot of convincing, yourself included, that this weird thing was better.
For sure.
And so that's what really helped me convince myself that this weird thing was better and that people would ultimately understand that.
Totally. Yeah, 100%.
So it's a different thing, but it's different for a reason. And that's I think what people want to know is like we've shown them this different chair.
Yeah.
And it's like it wasn't created just to look different. It's that every difference is there for a reason.
Totally.
And that it's also not saying that every other chair is terrible.
Right.
It's just saying this is what we think is the better way.
Yeah.
Whereas our bikes just are the best bikes.
Hands down. No question.
I don't know, when you saw it at first, what were your thoughts?
Like when I met you back in, what was that, 2017 or 2018? Saw the Reach for the first time, and I think the next day I went to my caseworker and said I want one tomorrow. But when I met you at the Abilities Expo, you were in a version of what the Era is today, like one of the first prototype, the one that you had built in your basement. You were in for 10 years and are still in. Maybe a couple patches here and there from some abuse, but that was kind of the first thing that I noticed. Was like, oh man, this guy's sitting like so normal. He doesn't look like he's in like a hospital wheelchair, this big bulky like metal just hunk of round tube that are just like welded together everywhere. It was really cool just to see somebody look different in a chair. You sat differently. Your posture was great, which I'm so used to seeing people like so slouched and just, slouched forward, not to the side.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see, for me, only seeing the typical wheelchair design, seeing how differently you used your chair and how differently you loaded it, how differently you were able to like take it apart. Some of the features that are, the main kind of selling points for our chair you had back then, and it was really cool to see how you did things differently than I did with a standard wheelchair. You can start kind of breaking that down a little bit. I think the first thing is obviously the removable seat.
It's hilarious. This might be Larry's longest grinding session ever.
Yeah. He's probably just got a piece of flat, like a big sheet of metal
on the grinder.
He's just whipping it around.
This is happy. It's like wave sounds for Larry. Yeah. Oh.
Wow.
So the removable seat, I made that removable seat. I totally used it, and that's what made me believe in it. But it was interesting, and we've got the chair here, and I am going to remove the seat so this conversation makes a little more sense at this moment. To me, on the original chair, there was still a lot left here.
Yeah.
And it never dawned on me until we finished this one that it was a chassis and a seat.
Right.
Because in the other one, it kind of, for whatever reason, the extra stuff made it more blended to me.
Right.
And so the main function of the removable seat initially was that if you're getting in and out of your car, you could separate the weight, the volume, and just have something that packed away more easily.
Right.
Which obviously I still believe in, and I think it still does it. But the other side now that I think is bigger is that we have the chassis, which is kind of this dumb bracket that just holds the wheels, like rear wheels, front wheels, and your feet. And then we have this seat. And when I used to, for 28 years of my life, I've doodled wheelchairs, drawn them, and I'll think of a new thing and I'll draw the whole chair. And now I don't draw the chair. I just draw seats.
Right.
Because the chassis is done.
Yeah.
Because you've been using one for a little bit now. Do you see a chair as in a different way with different potential?
Yeah, I do. I haven't really gotten to experience playing with different seats quite yet. I know we're going to start kind of tinkering around with some different, my seating is really custom and kind of a one-off for a lot of use cases, but I'm excited to start playing with some of that stuff and being able to have, lighter, different shapes, maybe some different strapping, maybe a bigger seat that's got some options to be comfortable at the desk. Yeah, just play around with it and have that option, like you said. But I think for most people, main feature of it is being able to separate that for, like you said, the transfers, flying and traveling and stuff, being able to not have to worry about
put it in the overhead.
Yeah, throwing your chair down below and having it damaged. I don't know how I've gotten away with it so far. I have had no issues, but I've heard horror stories of it, and I think a lot of people, that's kind of the biggest selling feature is...
Well, that's an interesting one too, because I have flown, and it wasn't the original plan that this would come apart and fit on a plane.
Right.
But then it just made sense that it would.
Totally.
And then you're like, well, I wonder if I'm allowed to do this. And airlines are airlines, and you never know what you're going to get. But anytime I have asked, or every time now that I've got one, they're more than accommodating. And then actually kind of stress relieved on their own end.
Totally.
That they're not going to end up with you angry.
Exactly.
Or you stressed.
Yeah.
It's like the whole stress thing.
Well, it's less coordination on their end too, of having to have their workers come up, grab the chair, bring it down, fit it in there, strap it in or whatever, and then same thing when you land. It's less work for them because you just either have somebody with you or they just pass it down to you and it's 2 seconds.
Because we've got a few people here now who use them, and just the musical chassis or seats that can go on with sliding your seat off, and so you want to try a different wing size, which is this bit down here. You can just slide your seat onto it.
Totally.
And it's this...
Well, that's the part I think for me that's been the most fun. I've never been able to... Every chair that I've had has been a little bit off in some way. Mm-hmm. There's I wish it would have been this, or I wish it would have been that. And I've gone with some different companies every time. So when you make the changes, you're like, oh, I'll do this change, but then it's a different chair with different weight distribution and different design. So it's like, it's not apples to apples. So for this chair, it's been really fun. The last month and a half that I've had it, I haven't really stopped playing with just different positions. Not necessarily that I'm not liking it or not comfortable at all, because right when I got in it, it was like, I was solid. Got to go wheel around and had no issues, no complaints at all. But being able to play with like maybe having a higher wing size and like a higher seat, sitting higher in my chair, which I never really got to play with at all.
Right.
Being able to down the road have some spacers that you can play with in your footrest, and width. Like I've started pretty wide to just, I hated having tire marks on my pants and my clothes all the time, so I started a bit wider, but now I'm like, I'd like to go a little narrower. So being able to play with that along the way, and just have my seating too, being able to, I set it up for my cushion, but then I wonder if I could get a little more out of it with my cushion. And obviously that's not going to be for everybody depending on what cushion you're in, but being able to just fine tune and play around with that stuff, different, the angles for, like we swapped out the other day for the seat angle for it.
Right.
I started with a 5 degree and I went to a 3 degree and love it. So, and it was like 5 minutes. We did it over Friday beers while we were talking. So
totally. We'll talk quickly about the adjustments, because we keep talking about the adjustments, but potentially people watching don't know. Yeah. So number one, I think the biggest one is width.
For sure it is.
I don't know of another chair that adjusts for width. If there is one, there's not a lot.
Well, and I think width is one thing for your seating, but I think the cherry on top is being able to adjust your wheels to accommodate that. Because it's the same thing. I've had my width changed, but then my wheels are fixed because it's an axle.
Right.
That's a solid axle. So being able to move those two in conjunction is really, really special.
How long have you been in a chair?
I'm coming up on 10 years.
10 years, yeah. I've been 29, you're 10. Anybody would say we're experienced wheelchair users and therefore, and like active lifestyles, so should know, we would be seen as someone who should know how they want to sit.
Yeah, totally.
But my entire career life in a chair, I've messed with it because I had the ability to by building them.
Right.
Sometimes it would be really long times in between because they weren't quite as adjustable. But now we both have this opportunity, so we've both been doing it a lot.
Yeah, totally.
And even so we've got width, we have, like you say, the wheel width, and I have messed with it because I always really valued a super narrow chair.
Exactly.
Like to fit through, my big thing was always a regular bathroom stall door, not the disabled one, just a regular one. And so I just made everything narrow enough that I could fit through there, to the point where and I've never had a sore or anything, but my left hip is it knows that it's up against something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go wider and then be like, oh no, now I can't do it. But this was I'm just gonna sneak it out
and see how it affects
it. Because you're not, a measurement's it's a broad, a door width. It's not like they have a gauge that they do here.
There's
and
a range, for sure.
You kind of things squeeze a bit and you force your way in. Or then the balance of how close my wheels are to the side.
Yeah.
So anyway, now I'm at a point where I did make my seat a little wider because I'm a little older and I don't know, everything's just melting. And but then I moved the wheel and it's not rubbing. So I'm still getting what I want out of my chair, but I did change the way it was.
Right.
And I think that's the key, is that it's not this, it's a misnomer that there's an experienced wheelchair user and you know how you want to sit.
Yeah.
It would be like choosing your, walking around for 30 years and being this is your shoe.
Yeah.
It's well, but it might change.
Yeah, totally.
You might get a bone spur the next year and need to change it.
Yeah,
or,
totally.
Something.
Well, and again, I think that goes into it works great for, that purpose, but then if you, I don't know, go to the park with Ollie or want to shoot some hoops or something too, it's a narrow chair is not really ideal for that either, because then you're kind of falling around. So there's different things, obviously, with the wheel with adjustment. There's different things like wheel base adjustment to extend or shorten your wheelbase to make it either more nimble or more sturdy too.
That was a big one that I didn't think would be a thing.
The gym the other day.
Right.
It was perfect.
Was it?
I was doing like overhead tricep extensions, and normally I'm getting better. My stability in my chair is pretty dialed, but when I was early on, like you have weights, dumbbells like overhead, and you're lowering it behind you.
Yeah.
So it's like that's gonna play with you around, right? And so it kind of takes the first couple sets, I'm a little more wobbly, and then I kind of figure out my spot, but not having to worry about looping over backwards because I like my chair pretty tippy. To have control rolling down sidewalks and stuff.
Yeah,
But
so
be able to
that's
play with
again
that.
like having those 3 wheel positions. It really was in the very beginning. The story about the design of this egg shape was that I think I actually measured your chair because you had a really short wheelbase and mine, and then like Sierra's. Like I kind of looked around for a bunch of wheelbases, and it seemed like everyone could be within this 3-inch range.
Yeah.
And really, like you couldn't make this infinitely long thing. So it was like, what's reasonable? So we did that, and the original idea was that you would fill out an order, and then we would have an axle plug, that's this zone that moves widthwise, and we would just put one hole.
Right.
And it would be like, that's where your wheelbase is. But to like cover all the bases to see like how it would test, we're like, let's just throw all of them in so we don't have to make a bunch. But it was when they were all in that I started using it and moving it.
Right.
And then it was like, well, do other people want this? Will it be confusing? You'll have one wheel in the front and one wheel in the back.
Right.
And you can, I mean, if you don't pay attention. And you'll know because it feels weird.
Yeah.
But it was like, is the downside as high as the upside?
Right.
And no, like the upside's huge. I move them around constantly.
100%. What would the downside be?
Just that you end up with them in different spots.
Oh.
Or like people have said like, oh, my friends are always going to get them in the wrong one.
Right.
But there is only 3. And
It's
like,
a pretty easy, quick question to ask though too.
Yeah, or to
Which
say.
question does it hold? Or when you're putting the wheels in, put it in the middle
It
hole.
can be an awkward
If there was 5, like middle might be confusing, but
Yeah.
there's 3, right?
Yeah.
So middle, back, or front.
Yeah.
So I really like it.
Yeah. So it does, and that's like, because it's not just, like you kind of alluded to, it is center of gravity as well. So I'll use it for like maneuverability, like do I fit in a bathroom or can I get into like an Airbnb or like a quick center of gravity change. Even if someone's gonna play in your chair, I move it further back so that they're not gonna crash.
Or if it's a buddy, maybe chuck it in the front.
Chuck it in the front, yeah, totally.
Yeah, totally.
So it's also fatter this way.
Yeah.
And so we do have ones with holes higher.
Right.
And that would be for a bigger wheel, which is the 584, 27.5, and then holes lower, which is for a 540 or 24 inch. So then your chair is always the same level. From Bowhead side of standpoint, it's like, we'll do the math. You just tell us what size you want.
Right.
And then in a year, or if you want to change, once we get the 584 done and you want to try it, then you just get this part. It doesn't change.
Yeah, that's
your
what I was going
chair.
to say. So what's the point in having the different heights of receivers for that to be able to have a bigger wheel and a smaller wheel? Like, what would that change?
It's like my experience, even for like my own prototypes that I've done over the years, is it's really that caster angle. So like if your caster's angled forward or back, then you get flutter, or you're like rolling backwards constantly or rolling forwards constantly. So your caster angle wants to be up and down. But if you put a bigger wheel on, it goes forward. If you put a smaller wheel on, it goes backwards. And then lots of chairs, you're meant to adjust that angle. But
and usually with my experience, it's been adjusting it with a new fork, right? Like a new caster fork.
New forks, some
of them
are
adjustable.
angle adjustable, but there's 2 things there. One is there's a lot of, like when you hit a bump, there's a lot of force trying to move it out of the way. So it is a difficult zone to really clamp and have positively held.
Yeah.
The other part of that is that I've seen so many people who don't know how that feature works.
Right.
And it's out.
Right.
And then when they're different, even if they're both wrong the same way, your chair works a little better. But when they're off and they're not the same, that's when a really great chair can feel really bad.
Totally.
It's where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
So that was a big part of the axle and then our fork combination thing, is that your chair's always the same height. So if we say your footrest is going to be 3 inches off the ground, then no matter what you do with those wheels, it'll always be the same. Your seat will always be the same. Your back's always the same. So changing those things doesn't change any angles, no seating. And that kind of speaks to the whole chair, in that any adjustment you do only affects that adjustment.
Right.
There isn't this like cascading effect.
Right.
Which
is really important, I think, for obviously, like, the main thing is the geometry of it, making sure the chair is going to work properly. But the biggest thing, like for my situation, the number one thing that I focus most on being in a wheelchair is my skin health. Right. And so with being able to change different wheel sizes or run a 559 with a road tire, a skinny tire like I do, the majority of the time, but then, living in the van and being off-road all the time and skiing and biking and stuff, I'm always in soft, uneven terrain. I'd love to run a bike tire. So being able to run a bigger tire on the same wheel and not have my geometry change to where I'm going to have to worry about my skin health too is huge. Right. Keeping that same geometry in your seating and stuff is almost, in my opinion, almost as important as keeping the same geometry in your caster.
Well, and that goes to like all the things that we as Bowhead have learned, is that there are, when you get to have these deeper conversations with people about how they use something, then you can respect how that would work, how that changes your design. I always chose like little 4-inch casters because I'm tall, and I have big feet, and I like a narrow chair, and so a bigger caster would always knock my feet off.
Right.
But with the wing designed to hold 4 or 5-inch, I'm probably going to go up.
Oh, for sure.
5-inch.
Yeah.
Because now, which after 29 years, and I could have had whatever I wanted. I could have had, because I make it.
Yeah.
And so, but now, like another guy here, Guga's using the Frog Legs 5-inch,
right,
and he loves it.
Yeah.
And I can change.
Yeah. Because he was on 4s before too.
Yeah, he was on 4s before too, and he was reluctant.
Yeah.
And he's like, he didn't want to do it, but I was like, we need someone to try it.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't
want to give him up.
No.
Yeah.
He's like, you should try it. And I'm like, well, you've got them.
Yeah.
So you've got the things I want to try.
Yeah.
But we'll get another set. We talk about the adjustment, the width, the length, the seat height, backrest angle, seat angle, all these things. But it does come down as well to that it was designed in conjunction with geometry. Yeah. That we took care of that. Yeah. And that you can do these things and that you can change. Yeah. Which is another. And we're not, it's not that we push this, and we're a long way away from it being a thing, but I personally am excited for someone to buy a secondhand Bowhead Era.
Yeah, 100%. I think they would be excited for that too, because having that price point, right? Not everybody has coverage or is able to afford a new chair. So being able to have a used market for a wheelchair that's actually going to fit you properly and not just, I know, a couple of my buddies that got injured, whether it be biking or, during equipment, as you would know, you don't have coverage, and you kind of take what you can get a lot of the time, and so that kind of comes hand in with chairs too. It's like, here we've got a cheap chair, this demo chair came in, it's pretty close to your size, and they use it because it's the closest thing that they have. So having a chair that would be able to have a used price tag and still have all the adjustability and aspects of a really high-end wheelchair, because it's still a high-end wheelchair being carbon fiber and lightweight for the adjustability aspect that it has. Ties into the next kind of most important part for me is like, I've had a couple carbon chairs in my 10 years and I've broken every one of them. It's a lightweight chair, so it's just over 17 pounds without the rear wheels, which is nothing. It splits that in half for the transfer weight when you separate the seat. Some people might say it's not the lightest wheelchair on the market. Yeah. But for me, I would way rather have a chair that's a couple pounds heavier and not have to worry about it breaking. Yeah. And if it does break, it's covered under warranty, depending on how it breaks. Obviously, if you're dropping it off a cliff or something, that's one thing. But
which is why we've on Instagram, on Bowhead Wheelchairs, we show so much testing.
Totally.
Because I've never seen, and I mean, granted, I'm pretty focused on what we do here, so I'm not looking everywhere. But I've never seen any other wheelchair company post a test.
No.
Not a real test, like maybe, something subjective, but not
Well,
like
and
a
that's
destructive testing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly the thing too, is that there's testing standards, I think, in the wheelchair industry, but and again, you would know more because you've done more of that research and, you know, are project managers and stuff. But from what I've seen and the numbers that are given in the tests that are, you know, that you have to pass to be able to sell your wheelchair in certain regions are kind of a joke. So the fact that we're able to, you know, go beyond that and just product test to like,
Well, we
the
learned
worst
that
case
from the
scenario.
bikes, right? It's like, it's not about sneaking a product into a customer's hands and being like, we did it.
Yeah.
It's like, you want them, and the bikes are a great example, because it's so typical to have like a bunch of like, okay, you got it, but you can't do this, 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 and cover your bases as a company.
Yeah.
But with the bikes, it was like, well, that was kind of tried a long time ago in mountain bikes.
Right.
Like when mountain biking first started, it was like, this bike's not for racing, it's not for jumping, it's not for like downhill, it's not for all this stuff. And it's like, well, that is the sport. So you've created a list of don'ts
Totally.
that are the sport. And all those companies that took that stance are gone.
Yeah.
And now mountain biking is thriving with companies that acknowledge that that's the way their bike is used. A bike is used. And bike standards are split into like categories now. Like a road bike would never pass a downhill bike test.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to. It needs to pass the road bike test.
Exactly.
And so that was also with us, with the Era. It was like, okay, we'll do all the tests, but we also need, there's no test for a seat latch, like a removable seat latch. But we'll do one because we want people to do it. We'll do like the latch for how many times you use it, but also for pulling it off. So if you have an external drive and you hit the throttle, is your seat going to pull off? It's like, well, we need to plan for that. We don't make the external drive. You know, we could say it's not warranted for that, or we could say, let's go test it and then redesign it and test it again to the point where now we're at 1,000 pounds of pull to break it off, which is
far above what
far
you would ever do.
above the torque you're going to get out of a. You need a pretty serious.
Yeah,
you'd have to be
front
like
drive.
hooked up to one of those like steam launchers.
Yeah, totally. Jetpack.
Yeah. So the testing really does. And I think, well, so to go back to, this is my view on the carbon, is a lot of the carbon chairs, like the ones you've had, mimic a regular
Yeah, same frame design. Yeah, totally.
Same design, right? And those other designs use titanium and aluminum.
Yeah.
And even from the bicycle world, there isn't a big weight difference from a tie bike to an aluminum bike to a carbon bike. The reason they use those different materials is because they can shape them differently, they can get strength out differently, they can manipulate the ride of the bike and the geometry of the bike based on the material.
Yeah.
So
and how it reacts to, obviously.
So if you make a chair look the exact same out of carbon that it did out of tie, then you've got one thing to offer, and that's that it's lighter.
Yeah.
And you can do that. We could make this chair 5 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
We just use a whole lot less carbon.
Totally.
It would look the same, it would just be way weaker.
Yeah.
And that's what I think they did. They just used less carbon,
Totally.
made a regular scenario lighter, but it's weaker, which is why they broke.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference, is we went for responsible weight.
Yeah.
And we used, instead of making the same shape, we're like, let's do a wing where now you've got a foot of lever arm to absorb vibration and bumps, but let's make sure it can do that.
Yeah.
And it's designed to do that. And we have this main spar, and it can flex and move, but let's make sure it's designed to flex and move. So it's like the shape isn't an accident, it's really conscious. And then it's like it's thick.
Yeah.
It's like a mountain bike carbon frame versus a road bike carbon frame.
Totally.
And the reality is, I think, is wheelchairs are used and abused more like a mountain bike frame than a road bike frame.
Sure.
Because you can't even sit on the top tube of your road bike.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, totally.
If you do, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because you break it.
Don't sit on your top tubes.
Don't. Our use of carbon was conscious.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes in the bike world, they're like, is it carbon or could it just been black aluminum?
Yeah, totally.
like, did you use it because you wanted to use it, or did you use it because you should have used it?
Yeah.
And we really focused on using it because we should have used it.
Yeah. It's the right material for the job.
Yeah. The suspension, the least talked about.
Yeah.
It's funny because we're both looking around the chair and it's like hidden down here and you just don't really think about it, look at it.
Well, and it's kind of funny because, like I've got one of my customers, every time I bring it up, he's like, what suspension? Like the torsion bar. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's really cool that, it's just so hidden and tucked away and doesn't really add that much to the chair in terms of like weight or anything either.
We had
so
to
it's
have something there.
Yeah, someone's got to mount the seat to the frame, right, or the chassis. So yeah, for me, you've always had suspension.
So to start it, I've always had.
Yeah, but shocks and stuff.
My very first chair, a year after I was injured, I put suspension in it.
Yeah.
And I've had suspension for 28 years in some way or another. And I've been preaching that everyone should have it.
Yeah.
And because it's not about, for me, although it does work for this, it's not about curbs or bumpy ground, or it's not even about moving. For me, it's like sitting stationary, there's like energy absorbed that isn't through my spine.
Yeah.
Like just at my desk.
Totally.
So I've had air shocks where like you can lock them out. And if you snuck up behind me and locked it out in a few minutes, I'd be like,
I would say a few seconds.
yeah, I'd be like, what the heck? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
It feels too solid.
Yeah.
And there's been this, and I think maybe you were in this camp. Everyone's sort of in this camp because they're told like it sucks energy from your push. And you don't want that.
Totally.
And because I never had the alternative, I never knew or noticed, and I got around life pretty fast. And I also, now I get distracted and go off on tangents, but I also like, most of my day is sitting still, and I'm an active person. Like I'm not just like, I don't wake up and like hit the trails and like I'm just like giving her all day long. I'm mostly sitting still. So my seating health exceeds the importance of like the most efficient push to me, but I also don't think it takes that much from your push. So what's your
that's kind of the cool.
Because
it's
you
a cool
just
way to
got
look at
it
it
for the first time in your life.
Yeah, exactly. And your use case, like you sit a lot in a day, whereas my day's usually the complete opposite. When I'm at the shop, obviously it's a bit different when I'm in between trips and stuff like that. But my days are usually the complete opposite, where I'm not sitting still at all during the day. Right. I'm constantly rolling around on dirt and gravel and setting people up in bikes and riding myself and stuff too. So in and out of my bike, doing demos, and in and out of the van, and leaning over, hopping out of my chair onto the ground and back in. So it's used in a different way consistently than what yours is, which is cool because I really found, I actually just came back and having my backup chair upstairs with the stair lift right now, hopping back into that for the first time in like a month and a half of having suspension for the first time in my life in a wheelchair. And it was crazy. Like right away, my body felt like it just like stiffened up. It was bizarre. Whether that just be the constant movement or like just the cushion and feedback. I think like you said, you don't realize how much energy is like going through your spine or like through your body in easy things like leaning over to like feed the dog or like cooking breakfast or just daily tasks that you don't really think about and you just do. So it was cool to have that comparison coming back. And so it kind of made me think, and I think where it really benefits me or where I really notice it is taking the dog for a walk around, like from the shop here. The sidewalks are not ideal, which is everywhere. Obviously that's how you get around. And there's sidewalk cracks and there's, the road's not paved. So there's like an 1.5 inch drop at every crosswalk. And not even feeling those anymore. It's pretty cool. I find you have more cushion in your push. So it's not like it's kind of like pedaling a road bike up a hill versus pedaling like an XC bike.
Right.
So it's not, they're both made to climb. One is
it's
gonna,
just like the peak of,
exactly.
Right.
It's like the peak of climbing. and the speed of it too, I guess, right? One's meant to climb on pavement, one's meant to absorb. So that's where it's like you said, it's not worth the or it is worth the sacrifice. And for me, it's not a sacrifice because it's not enough to be like, oh, I'm way more tired now. It's like you feel it a little different. I don't even know if it actually is more work or takes up any power from your push. It's just that you notice, which again is not a bad thing because it's less impact on your body when you're pushing, right? It's like you're able to push. I'm able to, I don't have any issues going up the hills that I did before. I don't have any issues like wheeling over things. It's no different in any negative way. It's just different.
Yeah.
So it definitely took me, a good week, I would say, to fully get used to it and not like freak out when I sit back and it goes down a little bit. I'm like, holy shit, and kind of center yourself again. Been in it. I don't really think about it anymore, but then getting back into my other chair, I was like, holy crap, I didn't realize.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's something I've always enjoyed with the bikes. I know we're talking about the chairs, but people have had other bikes. For sure. And one of my favorite things is like when they hop in our bike or they get one and they're using it and it happens less and less now because I think there's so much info out there and so many opinions. But in the earlier days, people would like use our bike, but they'd hang on to their other one.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, I'm going to use it. It's better for this. And then they get back in and it just like tips and they're like, oh my God. And they never use it again.
Or they just don't get back in ever because there's no need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I know a couple of our good friends that have, and it's funny to watch. Every time you say it, you're like just biting your tongue because you know that it's. And
so that's what I'm excited about for the chair too. Like for you, because it's nice when someone is like, I do, like you acknowledge, you're like, I like it, it's good. But it was nice that you got back in your other chair and were like, oh, whoa, like just for me, because I'm like, I know, I totally know.
Totally.
Like now you get what I think.
Totally.
And what we really committed to here. That said, that's kind of the beauty of the design is this chunk, we can make it fully rigid.
Yeah.
And we're, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, 36, whatever, 72 months away from a variety of different, we call it, we've got our chassis, our seat, and then our performance hub. We had to come up with a name for that zone. Because there's so much we can do there.
Yeah, totally.
And it was like this, do we do rigid right now? Or do we do suspension right now?
Yeah.
Because you got to pick one to start with.
Right.
And it was like, we all voted and committed to suspension. And I'm really glad we did.
I am too, and I think switching, it's the right way to sit too that I've now realized being in it. But it's also, I think, the parts to make it a suspension system or a performance hub are, a little bit more, not complicated, but there's more to it to have it be suspension versus rigid. So if somebody that gets a suspension chair really doesn't like it, which I'd be so surprised, you have a very, financially unimpactful. It's a low risk, low budget, like swap back, right?
Yeah.
And you've always got that option too. If you're going camping, you can chuck it in, whatever the case. But so I guess that leads into, so we've gone over like seating system, width adjustment, wheel width adjustment, wheel base adjustment, different heights in terms of your wing size for your ground clearance and how that affects for your seat height adjustment and your foot position. Folding backrest. We haven't really talked about the back of the chair a little bit. The folding backrest option for me has been really cool because, there's two aspects to it, obviously. So the folding version, being able to actually flip down your seat to fit it into whether it's a taxi or whether it's like going on a family trip and your car is stuffed.
Yeah, totally.
It just, you don't really realize until you have something like this that, your chair is actually quite like cumbersome and awkward and takes up a lot of unusable space. So being able to fold that down is awesome. But the biggest thing for me is having this backrest angle adjustment and have that feedback into having a custom system like mine, being able to have that feedback and support. I can feel when I'm not in the right position, or if I want to relax a little bit, my back's tight from being upright all day, and I can reach back super easily and loosen it off a couple turns and just be in a different position and make my back happy. So
that's another one that I've had for 20 years. I've been doing this on all my chairs.
Crazy.
And so it's just normal to me to have, and I change it almost every day.
Totally.
Like from morning to night, or whatever, like as you get tired, I just change it. Or like I've used it for like on business trips or whatever trip, you've got a bag on your lap, and you've got to go from the airport to the hotel, I don't know, somewhere. You're covering distance. I'll put my backrest angle back so that I've got more weight back, so that I'm tippier again, so I can get my front wheels over bumps and stuff. And then when I ditch my bags, then I put it back so that I'm in my position again. But I manipulate my center of gravity with it a lot, actually.
Crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, so that's different than I use it too. I find I'm less agile when it's tilted back a little bit, because I don't have that immediate feedback into it. So when I do want to be more tippier, more controlled in the chair, be able to wheelie up over things easier, I usually bring it up forward the other way. So it just goes to show everybody's so different with it, and that's where that adjustability really plays a huge factor, because no one person's going to use it the same.
I mean, that goes into, there's so much to talk about. That goes into like an ease of doing things.
Yeah.
Right? And this is obviously so easy. You just turn it.
Totally.
And it does it. Some other things, we did focus on ease, and that's that anywhere you see a bolt, screw, fastener, whatever word you want to use for it, it's every single one is the exact same.
Yeah.
It's not just the head, as you know, the same length, same diameter, same screw. So that if you do have your whole chair apart and you're cleaning it, maintaining it, whatever, you just grab and put it on.
Totally.
And that was a tough engineering thing, because there were so many instances where it's like, well, let's just, for this one, obviously we should use a slightly shorter one or a slightly longer one. And we were like, no.
Yeah.
Like, this is the commitment.
Yeah,
It's
let's
got to
make it
be
work.
the exact same. And having done that, it's been way handier than I ever thought. Because we've been getting prototypes, putting things together. It's like these screws are just floating around everywhere now.
Totally.
And you just grab one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun too, because with a low cost, I've been every time I change something or swap a part or whatever for adjustment, I've been swapping them to gold. So it's kind of fun to express it that way too. With the same bolts, you can have a pack of every color under the rainbow.
Totally.
If you wanted. I mean,
move it
obviously it's a
around.
pretty insignificant thing, but it's just something that never had the option for before. So it's really cool that way.
So we talked about a lot of the different adjustments, and I feel like we could talk for hours and hours and hours about all the things, from like bumpers to different camber to potential sport ports to the UFO used for obstacles, for bumping off things. But a lot of what people want to know about something that's so different is how do you fit it? How does it measure up literally compared to other chairs? And I really came from a place of like a technical requirement that I wanted, and then moved into like, how do we accomplish that with a variety of other people? But you've got the most experience currently on the planet with like, how do other people compare the measurements from their old chair to what this is, and then how do you explain it? So give us the spiel.
The spiel.
Well, I think the biggest thing that separates our chair from any other conventional wheelchair that's been on the market for the last century is the footrest adjustment. So with a standard chair, a lot of the time your seat height is kind of a fixed measurement from the floor to your seat, with a fixed seat angle, or dump, as a lot of people refer to it. Ours is kind of the opposite. So with that fixed seat, you have an adjustable footrest, and that's kind of how wheelchairs have been forever. We're kind of switching the opposite of that. So we have a fixed footrest, which we call a ground clearance. So that distance is going to be from the floor to the top of your footrest. And a lot of people kind of have a pretty fixed idea of that. Their chair seems to be within a quarter of an inch from that, and allowing your seat adjustment or your seat height adjustment to accommodate your leg position to that and adjust for that quarter of an inch has been working really well. So same with me too. I was kind of like just over 3 inches, and the 3-inch works really good for me. So it's been really nice to kind of play with. But that's kind of the starting measurement that we'll go off of. From that point, we're going to measure basically from the top of your footrest to the top of your seat base. Kind of the, the highest point on the footrest, generally in the middle of the footrest, to the front of your seat base.
Right.
And that's going to give us, again, a kind of a, not a ballpark, but a pretty accurate measurement of where your seats can be measured
That's like
at.
the bottom of your foot to the back of your knee. Like
Exactly.
That, you can't change that.
Yeah, that's kind of is
I
what
did,
it is.
That's a different story.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of that gets into like a deeper conversation of like, do you want more flexion in your ankle, or do you want your feet to sit further back or forward, or do you want to sit higher with less dump? There's a lot of different things that can play into that seat height compared to where your feet are.
Yeah.
But yeah, being able to adjust that and play with it, like I've been doing the last couple of weeks, changing my dump angle. I've got pretty fixed custom seating, but being able to play with that dump angle or seat angle to kind of change my, my loading and my cushion, change my foot position and my ankle position, and how that kind of loads with the footrest. But before I get into the rest of the sizing, kind of to stay on the footrest topic and our wing design, I do get a lot of questions about, foot position, having a lot of people have like a corrective tray in their foot pan for their chairs that kind of help keep their foot position straight. It's one thing that I was kind of curious about in my situation as well with custom seating and me being so picky with my positioning. I think a lot of people are and should be, is with our footrest angle, or kind of our footrest design, I guess, our wing design, having the shape that it does to it. It's got a little bit of a curvature on the top of the footrest. So it kind of allows you to, with where your foot position is on that footrest, it allows you to have different foot angles.
Yeah,
so different tension. Yeah, totally. So the further forward your foot is on the footrest, the flatter your foot's gonna sit. The further back your foot's gonna sit, the more it's gonna load through the ball of your foot and create more flexion in your ankle.
Right.
So allowing you to play with that again with, the center of gravity, the wheelbase, being able to really change your position and orientation to your footrest as well.
Yeah, and to jump in like that, it really is unbeknownst. It's so funny what you learn about something that you've used for a decade that you didn't know, is like how important the footrest is.
For sure.
And so we have developed, like with the bumpers, you can take them out, and now we do have, thanks to you and the feedback from other people, now we have like these clip-on spacers. And so I joked about like my leg length. So I broke my leg years ago, and my one leg is shorter. And so now I'm running like a 3/4 inch spacer to lift just that one foot.
Yeah.
And then we've got design plans for high heels or for extended out, or we really have this. We kind of gave ourselves this zone where we can manipulate the feet to whatever we want to do.
Just a platform basically for whatever.
Yeah, I imagine we're like, who knows the library we're going to end up with of foot placement things.
For sure. Yeah, and that being said, so with all the possibilities of it, I've really found, and I've had the foot trays. I run a calf strap in my other chair. I've kind of had to utilize those things to keep my foot position and where I like it, and have my legs be lined up where I like it. But this chair, I haven't actually used a calf support, which is pretty cool. And I think a lot of people will probably start realizing that they don't need one either, unless obviously, spasms and stuff can play a factor into that. But in terms of positioning, with that stuff aside, but yeah, we do have one.
Yeah, and
which
it was pushed, like we knew we needed one.
100%.
It wasn't like an afterthought. It was like, this has to be a thing.
For sure. And it needs to be adjustable too, right?
Yeah.
Which it is. So height adjustment changes your distance and your foot position again to kind of change how your foot sits on that footrest.
Yeah, I'm really proud of what we came up with.
For sure. I am too. Yeah, it's minimal. My calf strap always would flip up and get in the way and stuff, and so it's having it kind of more of a fixed solution like that. I'm pretty stoked. I think people are gonna be stoked on it too. So yeah, kind of from there, seat width is kind of the only other thing that's going to be a little bit different from typical wheelchairs, having that adjustability. But with our chair design, we decided to go with a bit of a taper. A lot of chairs are built very boxed, very square, which I don't know about you, but I'm not built like a square. I'm pretty round in lots of different ways. Totally. Yeah. So with our seating system, our side guards have a bit of a taper, 1/2 inch on each side. So if you measure the distance between your side guards at the top of the side guard and at the base, you're going to be 1 inch difference, 1/2 inch on each side. So kind of how we basically measure is having, your hip width. So I was a 16-inch seat before. I'm probably going to be a 15 seat here because I'm going to have that taper. My hips are going to, allow for that wider spot to be where our side guards taper out. So it allows my chair to be a little bit narrower. and that cushion to be a little bit narrower, to have just a snugger fit so that that chair becomes more of a part of you rather than you kind of sitting in something.
And that's another thing, like that's where I was literally on the other side of that.
Right.
In that I was looking visually, I liked the chair coming in, that
Totally.
it wasn't a box, because I'm like, I just didn't like looking at a box. Like,
Totally.
there's no cars
what human-
are square.
Exactly.
And because we don't like the look of it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I really want to soften. The biggest part of the chair visually is the seat. And I want, it's not just about a beautiful frame, it was like, how does the whole thing
Totally.
flow? And so it's like, whereas you're on the inside
Yeah.
and it works there.
Totally. Yeah, kind of a
I guess a bonus to both.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the, seat width. There's a little bit of a difference there in terms of measuring. Definitely, go over that in the consultation calls before moving forward with any quoting or anything like that.
Yeah.
The footrest is kind of the main discussion there as well, and then everything else, seat height adjustment. Obviously, not having to get in conventional chair order forms and stuff. There's a lot of different measurements that you have to come to, but those measurements, once you submit that order form, are fixed and done. Once you get that chair, if it's a fixed frame, there's no adjusting anything afterwards. So you really have to like make sure that that's the exact measurement that you're going to want and that's going to work for you. Whereas with us, it's, we obviously want you to sign off and make sure that you've double checked and made sure that that's your measurement. But knowing and having that peace of mind that when you get that chair, if it is off, you have the freedom to be able to adjust and fine tune all that stuff too.
Well, and that's like from all the like Abilities Expos, which are like trade shows across the United States, but it would mirror what's happening around the world. It is like people will come to us who have seen it, but which is why I think the consultation calls are so good, because it is so different. It's become really normal to us here.
Totally.
But like you'll explain, or there'll be an Instagram post, and you think that you've said all you want to say about the chair, but then people are like, so is this part, like once I get my measurements, is this custom to me? It's like, no, it's not. Like you're really not on the hook
Yeah, totally.
for, in the same way that you would be for another chair, where that's just it.
For sure.
You can always change it. And so if in 10 years you really need a longer chair, you could get just a new frame.
Yeah.
Take the casters off, take the axle plugs out, take the seat post out, put the seat that you're super used to and get a new frame. Or keep the frame, get a new seat, or get a new transfer handle, or get a new, it's more, the modularity of it wasn't, it was for everybody, from
Totally.
bowhead to therapist to end user to insurance, that this is a long lasting, it's never like we messed it up, throw it out.
For sure.
And I think it's hard to wrap your head around how that all works. But it's is why it took a decade to design.
Totally.
Yeah, and that's kind of where like, having that customer support after the purchase is really important too. And, being able to travel with it if something does happen outside of warranty, where, an airline breaks something on impact or something like that, you get somewhere overseas and you're like, damn, I can't use my wheelchair right now.
Yeah.
You just call us up and we can send you out that part, and it's
Yeah.
there in a couple days, So not being stranded and left with a carbon fiber repair, or having to have a chair welded, trying to find somebody to weld tie or something
Right.
like that, right? You're not
You
stranded
hear these
anymore.
horror stories of people who had a chair that they loved, and something happened,
Totally.
and then they send it to get fixed, and then it comes back different.
Totally.
And they're like, it was never the same.
Yeah.
Whereas this is,
It's going to be the
I
same
could
part.
I could turn my chair into your chair
Yeah,
in an hour.
for sure. And you could replicate your chair and have a spare that's the exact same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and that was a big thing for me too, was that because I do have I've got a shop in my basement still, so I have a chair down there. I leave one at work because I commute from my house to here, and it is nice I can mimic the way I
Right.
sit across the board.
Right.
I don't have a favorite chair.
Well, and that's kind of the cool thing too. You can make it the exact same, but also your chair at work might be different than your chair at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like having some different measurements, or maybe some different cushions or widths. Or,
It's true. My at home, I do have an ensuite bathroom, but the door is super narrow.
Right.
And so my chair at home is super narrow.
Right.
And my push rims are really close to the wheels. My wheels are really close to the seat.
Yeah.
And I don't do that here because I don't need to.
Yeah, totally.
Everything is wide. Everything I access from here,
Yeah.
the grocery store, the restaurants, everything is,
Having
there's
that
room.
stability is more important outside
And I'm
and
like,
around
oh,
the shop.
now I don't need to squish myself.
Totally.
Yeah.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, man. Yeah, lots of different accessories and add-ons and features and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I think
wheelie bars, power
Yeah.
attachments. There's the list goes on. I think
super
I'd like
arm
to hear
lifts,
from
Baytex, all that stuff. But I think at that point, set up a consultation and
Right.
chat with us. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the details of all that stuff and where we're at with all the accessories and stuff. But that's kind of like the main frame, main differences. Sizing, adjustability, the modularity aspect of things.
one
'cause-
bolt,
Yeah,
the tool
one
that you
bolt.
get with it that's awesome
Yeah.
instead of like some junky thing.
Yeah. Well, and proper. I don't think I've ever
torque the bolt in any of my wheelchairs. So having a nice tool that's going to be able to torque your bolts to a
Yeah.
proper spec and have access to that information
Yeah.
without having to search through the
And it
interweb.
makes it so much easier on us. If there is anything wrong, then you say like, are they torqued right? And if they say yes, then you're all starting from a baseline of
Exactly.
like, okay, well now, and then did you do this? No. Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And you can
easier to
work.
problem solve remotely.
Totally,
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
That's again like kind of I guess the one thing that we didn't touch on is like that's really defines the whole kind of ethos is like we want the user to be able to adjust and play with the wheelchairs, service the wheelchairs without having to book an appointment to go to a DME or a reseller to pay for an appointment and have to load up and go downtown, especially some versus others. Loading up into the car and stuff's not an easy feat. So being able to adjust and play with this stuff from the comfort of your own home and with a tool that you're comfortable using, I think is really important too. So.
And that's a really good point and that was a big focus was like, we're telling people they should own their mobility and own their seating and understand it. And it was like, we've got to make it so that people can do it and feel enabled to do it. And that we feel confident. It's not just like, here's the tools, go for it.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the tools and we believe in you.
Yeah.
You can do this. We can walk you through it. You can't screw it up. You're not going to break anything. You're not going to lose things.
Totally.
And that's, I think, like, it's funny for all the work that went into this whole thing and all the different features, which we still haven't even touched on. We've had standing ovations from therapists about the one bolt.
Totally.
And I think because they're not, like, if you're a
they're
therapist,
not
you don't go to
service
school as a
technicians.
mechanic. Yeah,
Totally.
you're like passionate about like helping people in the human body and like it's a deep subject. And now you're handed a handful of tools and you're like, well, I'll do my best.
Well, yeah, and that's
The two factors to that too, right? Is like the bigger factor of an OT's nightmare is getting a chair that doesn't fit after they've spec'd it for 2 months straight.
Yeah.
So being able to get a chair and not have to worry as an OT, as a end user, being able to fine tune and make sure that chair does fit properly.
And that is also back to the one bolt was like the stress in the whole system is high. It's heightened until that chair comes and it fits. But if it doesn't, if anything is off, then that's when it all, goes sideways.
Totally.
And it's like, it's stressful enough going through that, buying a chair and potentially, and if you're in a position where it's the first time that you need a chair, like we wanted this to be like, we gotcha. We'll put our money where our mouth is as far as like being an engineering technical company. Like you don't know what caster angle your car has.
Totally.
You don't need to. It's taken care of. And that was kind of where we wanted to come from was like, let's take as much stress out of this and then be there for them if there is any.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
by being there for them, we need to make it so that we could solve their problems.
Yeah, totally.
So,
Yeah, I think we have a great team to do it.
yeah.
And stoked to see everybody rolling around in Eras everywhere.
So I think, we'll listen to the comments. They can book calls, but we'll see what we get, and we'll reconvene.
Yeah, I think
and have
so.
another little chat.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
So thank you, people, for watching. Like I said, there's more to talk about for sure, but this is
But yeah, that's why we've got the consults too. So
Yeah.
if you do have any questions, you know, to either elaborate on the stuff that we touched on, or
It's free.
yeah, it's free.
video.
Book it at your convenience whenever there's availability in the schedule. And we
pressure.
just hop on. No pressure at all. There's no sales requirements or pressure to put in a quote or anything like that.
No.
If you're curious, just give us a call and we're happy to chat about it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, man.
Nice chat.
Yes.
Good chatting with you,
Yeah,
Cole.
you too, man. Okay.